morning, everyone. This is Dr. Fon from the University of Zululand. I'll be looking at the impact of integrating postgraduate curriculum with rural-based communities. I'll dive straight because my time is very limited. I will just go through the presentation from introduction, the objectives, and then what we found and how we use the information. Now, one of the most interesting thing to ask here is what is a curriculum? What is a curriculum? It's quite amazing when you look at the definition out there. There are a lot of things that people are talking about curriculum. Can you hear me? Can you unmute the guy on the cell phone, please? Mute the guy on the cell phone. Right now, so it's really about all the things that are being studied in a particular program. So the design of the program and what is being done in that program. And so when we talk about curriculum, it's very important. For example, we have an animal science degree. And in that animal science degree, you would have different things that are done. So that degree is there to impart a particular knowledge or a particular skill. So in that way, then we now saying, if it's coming to that, then we say, for example, the animal science BSc honors degree speaks to, it does have specific outcomes. And with those outcomes, it's going to speak to a particular course. So now what I'm going to be doing here, I'm going to be talking about a course under the animal science degree. And that course does have outcomes. These outcomes must speak to the program outcome. So that's why we have so many courses, but those courses then have to speak to the outcome. So now these outcomes would then we look at, there's supposed to be an alignment where the lessons that are taught need to speak to the outcome, right? And the assessment as well, the lesson must have an eye on the assessment if the assessment is going to be talking to the lesson and if the lesson is talking to the outcome. And then that's how we then generate the criteria. So now the question that we're asking here is, my course is an animal science research project. It does have outcomes. And one of the outcomes is that they are introducing students to research model, to do research out there. And I'm going to quickly take you to the next slide where we're now looking. Quite often when you go out there, you would see people writing assessment criteria of a particular course. They'll be asking you if the skills have been imparted. Does the student have the writing? And they will bring you all the sections of abstracts and introductions and literature review. And the question is, what is that knowledge? This is the final year course where you're preparing, final year course where you're preparing students to get into the industry, to look at their problem. And that's then asking me, yes, we have particular outcomes, but are these outcomes really speaking to outcomes? Is it speaking to some of the things that we need to worry ourselves to decolonize the curriculum? That's the bed of the research of the design of final year project. The course is called SAS 411, which is an animal science research project. And so quite often we give courses to students, we give projects to students where we just teach them how to manipulate things in the lab. But really, the question is really, is that where we have to stay? Are we not supposed to now pick in those years, those are honor students, they have to start prepare them for the market, prepare them to do research that is going to talk to their communities. And so that's where the idea then came now. What if we redesigned the curriculum to have students to do a bit of research in the communities so that it can be hands-on to write their mini project? So we had to do some surveys to know what the problems are in the community, and there are enormous problems in the surrounding community. And this is part of the university vision, where we have to do things that speak to our community, do projects that speak. We don't really necessarily have to we don't have to teach students about huge commercial system, but when those students come out, they are sitting around us with immediate problem. They don't even know how to integrate themselves with the community. They don't know how to become entrepreneurs. And so that's where we then look at what are the common problems in terms of an animal scientist. We have protein sources, we have that are deficient and animal diseases. So we now look at what if we design a project that would investigate a cheaper source of protein to the communities, and then would also allow the students to be hands-on. That's when we decided to go and look for a good breed, a commercial breed that is hardened, and take it into the communities and try to supplement it with commercial feed, and the other was only just given half of the feed. So the birds that we used was amberlink. We divided them into two groups, and we then fed them. Was one in the community was having full supplementation, and the other was having 50% of it, which means that we reduce the cost for the community people, and then we allow the bird to browse a bit in the community to get food. These are students with hands-on onto what's going. They're actually constructing the poultry production system. And many one in the community, they get themselves down. And then as far as you go down, this is the end product. This is the handwork of the student, they're getting themselves and so on. And these are the community people. This is what we bought. And at the end of the day, we're getting some egg. And so after that, we just use SPS to analyze a bit of the data, particularly the means of production. Because of time constraint, I'll leave out quite a bit. Yeah, I left out a bit. And so we now looked at it. What's happening here? We have group A and group B. The blue line are the birds that were supplemented fully, and the orange one are the lines that were not supplemented over a number of days. And when we look at it, the difference here is very, very small in terms of production, which actually says that we could carry layers of birds that are bred to produce eggs that are cheaper sources of protein. And these birds can still produce maximally in the community with little input. So the birds that were browsing were able to browse enough to feed themselves and still produce a lot of egg without any problem. So what did we get from the project? We actually found out that we were able to supply the community with a cheap source of protein, which is an idea of providing some food security. There's also an entrepreneurship promotion there, where the community members that participated continue to do this project and provide cheap protein, and some of them have even expanded. Why? Our students were able to write also a mini project and graduated. So now both parties, our students were hands-on, get to do something, and they get ready to even start a production system when they go out there, as well as the university benefited from graduating students out of the system. So in both ways they were. So further research on the productivity, because there were some mixed results where we had drops in, we could really go more to investigate why, or are there other things that we can do? So now this also promoted, we should also start thinking of getting more outreach programs out there, and to see how we can develop more projects. And these are quite some of the references that I used, and thank you very much.
Thank you for your wonderful presentation.